Gathered friends, listen again to the story of Bionicle. In the time before time.
Kapura! Kapura! They hit the Coliseum, Kapura!
What are you doing in my house?
Coliseum!
Alright, if you clicked on this video, you probably know what Bionicle is, but in case you don't, let's go through it. Bionicle was a sub-theme of League of Technic created by Christian Faber, inspired by his cancer treatments, where he imagined tiny warriors emerging from his pills to fight off the cancer cells in his body. This went through multiple iterations until it became the Bionicle we know and love today. Bionicle is basically a bunch of vaguely human-sized and shaped robots and cyborgs inside of a giant humanoid mech/spaceship. They flew around in this thing trying to terraform their planet, which they messed up, until one guy sabotaged everything, and the robot crashed on the water-covered moon. There's also a plant-covered moon, and they were trying to combine the moons back into the desert planet where they came from. After crashing the robot, everyone got amnesia and worshipped the giant robot like a god. 6 strangers washed up on the shore of the island that's actually the robot's base. Masks are a huge deal. Everyone has masks.
Some just more handsome looking than the rest.
Some more special than others. Adventures ensued. Basically, what I was trying to do was talk about the concepts of like the 3 virtues, which is what the whole video is about, and kind of like my interpretation of what the 3 virtues not only like used to mean, but how those concepts have evolved through the years, especially within like the fandom and everything, because you know these things shape us as people, and as people we are constantly changing and in a state of transformation, which in and of itself is a very like Bionicle concept where things are constantly evolving and changing and growing. So why wouldn't the concepts of Bionicle also change as its core demographic ages and grows as people? What did Bionicle mean, and what does it mean now? And those concepts have been not only realized in the main story of Bionicle, but also were twisted and shaped by the characters themselves, and they mean different things to different people, especially in Bionicle, because at the end of the day, this is a video idea that I've had for over a year, a script that I've been working on for months, and a video that I've been working on for weeks through trials and tribulations that has had numerous setbacks that have been really upsetting. But the fact that setbacks on working on this are as upsetting to me as they have been proves that on some level this project means something to me, and I hope to other people. The concept of unity, if you're separate, you are without purpose. There's only one way to really define your purpose in life, and that is by defining yourself through your interactions with others. You know, it takes a village. You are part of a society. But those concepts can also be twisted by other people, where unity could just mean living under one rule, living under one will, and that could be anyone's. It could be, you know, the will of Matanui, it could be Taragaduma, it could be Makuta Pterodax. Everyone is unified in their purpose, but your purpose is sometimes defined by other people, and I think that's, you know, incorrect. Like, you should not define your purpose, and society should not define its purpose by one person's or a select few people's definition. The unity you feel should be the purpose you glean from the people closest to you, and even the people farther away from you. Like, you have your own inner circle, but then you have other people that you just may not even interact with, but what would be better for everyone involved. There are people that you'll never meet, but because you both exist around the same time, it's inevitable that you are influencing each other, which I think a lot of people tend to forget is just, we live on the same rock floating through space at the same time. Even just the idea of someone else watching this video that I'm working on is inherently me interacting with someone that I probably never met and probably will never meet. But that's the beauty of reality in a lot of ways. Unity can also be defined by religion, and religion is not a foreign concept to Bionicle as a story, especially with the people who originally wrote the story. It's not really a secret that Greg Farshdi let his own religious beliefs kind of influence the story of Bionicle in a lot of ways, not just in the novels, but like flavor text or even the comic books or story outlines. You've got the almost inescapable Jesus figure that is Motoro, but also Toa-Naika, but also Matanui, but also Machinui. There's so many different versions of Bionicle Jesus and Bionicle God that it's almost laughable how easily you can make a comparison to the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, which I guess in this concept the Father would be the giant robot Matanui, the Son would be the smaller robot Matanui, and the Holy Ghost would be Motoro. I do think it's funny that Matanui comes in a variety of sizes based on how hungry you are, I guess. No Happy Meal Matanui though, unfortunately. You do get a Happy Meal Motoro. I stand corrected. There's Happy Meal Matanui, there's single Matanui, there's double Matanui, and there's triple Matanui. as it should be. Such is the will of the Bionicle. They don't really get into it in G2 as much, the more religious aspects of Bionicle's themes. The G2 relationship between Ikimu and Makuta is closer, in my opinion, to Cain and Abel than it is to the Christian God and Lucifer. But also similar to how there are different interpretations of the Bible, some more strict and some looser interpretations, you could argue that that's intentional between G1 and G2. G1 is a much more strict interpretation of the religious concepts used in the storytelling, whereas G2 is a much looser interpretation. Or it could just be, Lego didn't want to make Christianity too Electric Boogaloo. If I had to choose to worship a giant robot, I'll probably pick that. And then, the second one of duty, where you can't even strictly define duty in Bionicle. What is your job? What is your purpose? What is anyone's job or purpose besides just to exist? Your purpose can very easily be defined and influenced by others trying to achieve their own ends. Look at Turaga Duma, who very famously tried to influence the lives of the Matoran of Metronui with, a robotic police force. It's not lost on me that the idea of the Turaga is inherently team-based, because the idea of the Toa is team-based. There's supposed to be multiple. It's supposed to be a group effort. And the fact that in Metronui you only have Turaga Duma basically calling the shots for everyone is very totalitarian. The idea of using the Vaki is antithetical to everything that Machinui and Matoran beliefs stand for. The idea of not only teamwork, but the combination of efforts is everywhere in Bionicle. Sometimes more literal and sometimes more figurative. You know, what's better teamwork than fusing with all your best friends into one dude? I think that's great teamwork, and I think more people should do it. Get in the protodermis pool. We have to fuse. The idea that no matter how hard you work or how good you are at your given duty, everyone in Metro Nui still ended up in a Matoran sphere. Like, Taragaduma convinced everyone that if they stuck to their job, stuck to their duty, that they'd be fine, only to turn around and still lock everyone up. And before, someone says, oh, that was, Pterodax disguised as Taragaduma, why would he project a doppelganger of himself to talk to and risk exposing his identity as Taragaduma? That just seems counterintuitive. Even if Taragaduma, did it with the best of intentions, he still consolidated power to such a degree that anyone at any time could have come in and taken over. It didn't even have to be Pterodax. It could have been Niriki or Krika or even Nivok. The bird could have taken over. I'm already 2 steps ahead. I'm already thinking about how I'm gonna make myself sound mildly coherent. At this point, I refuse to take the concept of this video too seriously, otherwise I'm gonna have another stress breakdown. On a side note, I despise that Bionicle Heroes is the only mildly entertaining Bionicle game that we have. It is so frustrating that we were robbed of any sort of decent game. Because the only other game to this third-person shooter is a adventure action game where you don't actually swing your weapons. You hold up a shield and reflect energy blasts back at each other. I know from a story standpoint that it wouldn't make any sense, but I do think it's kind of a failing on not just Telltale Games, but also the Lego company in general, that Bionicle Heroes, where Vizon is the main bad guy of the entire game, the guy wielding a weapon called the Spear of Fusion, and none of the bosses are combination sets. It's right there. The concept was right there. The big boss of the game could have very easily been in the Cardass Dragon, which I think would have been a way cooler final boss than just Fenrak for the 7th time. But this video isn't about Bionicle Heroes or Bionicle the game. It is about Bionicle the concept, philosophically, because I am a philosophical person. Can't you tell by the fact that I'm making a video essay? Anywho, back to the concept of duty, one of the 3 virtues. It is not lost on me that Matoran culture is inherently very labor focused. They're blood cells, and I understand that, but also just tying one's labor to the in-universe religion, where hey, if you're good at your job, you'll get beamed up to a satellite in space where we'll fix you up and then send you back to keep doing your job so good. If you do your job bad, we're going to ship you to an island, God knows where you will be tortured and brainwashed until you can be sent back to do job good. This is a healthy society that we have created. if you do job good, we fix you up so you can go back and do job good. If you do job bad, we'll torture you until you're a good worker again. I am very intelligent. I don't mean to read into it, too deeply or anything, but like, that's messed up. I understand that they're meant to be just little robotic blood cells inside of a larger macroorganism, but they've been shown time and time again to have feelings and thoughts of their own, wants and needs. Like, they weren't meant to have personalities or become individuals. And if you equate the story of Bionicle with concepts like the real life religion of Christianity, humans weren't meant to be anything more than just dutiful followers, dutiful worshipers. So, at what point were we meant to or not meant to become individuals and become our own beings with, thoughts and feelings and wants and needs of our own? So I think even though the Matoran weren't, quote unquote, meant to become their own people, wouldn't you, why wouldn't you want them to? Why wouldn't you want them to gain sentience, basically? I wouldn't have it any other way. I think the Matoran, and by extension, us as human beings, deserve to have autonomy outside of concepts like religion and jobs. And if you don't think that, there's something wrong with you. If you think someone's value is only derived from the labor that they give of themselves to someone else, I think there is something wrong with you. The concept of time is money addresses that. To make money, to create a profit, someone has to give their own time. And, a person's time on Earth is limited. So money is inherently derived from limiting someone's life. And I think that concept goes even further once you leave Metru Nui and the Matoran end up on Mata Nui. You leave the futuristic megastructures of a city and you wind up on a tropical island where the work you do is inherently for your own survival and the survival of the others around you. The idea of money, while still a concept in Bionicle, isn't a driving factor in Bionicle media like the Mata Nui online game. Money is used for things that are not crucial to one's survival. You spend money on Coley balls so you can play the sport that you love, pieces of artwork or decoration because you like them. You don't spend money on housing or food or amenities because those things are already provided for you by the society around you, because everyone deserves to have those things. And it's not lost on me that the Vortex, the species in Bionicle who canonically invented capitalism, are cutthroat and conniving and backstabbing. Their entire society is based on how willing are you to sacrifice the people around you to achieve your own goals. How would you convince every cell in your body to do its job to keep you alive. It would inevitably turn into some form of religion with the promise of eternal punishment or reward. Your destiny is what you make it. It's not what other people need from you. Your worth as a person should be derived from the things you do because there's no reward. If your immediate needs were taken care of, food, shelter, water, safety, what would you do? Would you invent a sport that you can play with your friends? Would you make pieces of art that define you as a person? Would you tell stories to and about the people around you and the things that you see? As long as you are solely focused on staying alive, you can never focus on what it means to be alive. But no, it's not lost on me that the Matoran on Matanui pursue things that would be considered like trivial or extracurricular in our like modern world. Even just the pursuit of interpersonal relationships. The running joke is that, love isn't canon, but that might have been true until once you've reached a point of self-actualization that you can afford to explore what it means to be a person and what it means to be around other people. What it means to not just be a member of society, but a person with relationships. Your relationship to the village or the populace as a whole is vastly different from your relationship with another person. The point is, Huki and Maku forever. A sport that they play together, albeit on opposite teams, but they're spending time with each other that otherwise they wouldn't. As soon as they start branching out and doing things that they enjoy, they find out that they enjoy doing these things with certain people more than others. I think it's a beautiful thing that these two characters share this one thing in common that evolves much like they do. And even when, one of them is drawn into a higher calling, that being, Huki becoming a Toa, he still loves Koli. It's still something he enjoys. And even if he himself could never really play it again due to a clear advantage in height, at the very least, I think he would still enjoy watching Koli, and especially watching Maku play Koli. To get into Takua, who for all intents and purposes is the main character of Bionicle, in my opinion, who, started as a player's character, an introduction to the universe, and gradually evolved into an individual. And that individual was at the time, only Tamatoran with a blue mask, the one color associated with female characters, a mask that notoriously did not fit, and who very famously did not fit in anywhere. Takua doesn't fit in because he's not necessarily good at any of the jobs that are assigned to him. And his place in his village, quote unquote, is very much in flux because he doesn't fit in. Whether or not he knows that his destiny is far greater than working around Takoro is up for interpretation. I think just at the end of the day, he likes exploring. He likes adventure. And that's kind of strange in a universe like Bionicle. If you don't have like a specific calling to it. I couldn't imagine how people could possibly interpret this character. I can't imagine how this would speak to other people who don't fit in anywhere and feel like the expectations thrust upon them by society are kind of dumb. You don't fit in society. You're weird. I'm talking about you. The idea of destiny is such a haunting concept to me. The idea that like your existence is predetermined by some unknowable being is kind of messed up. And then the fact that like in the end it kind of was just an accident. It was just a series of accidents that eventually culminated in something of meaning. Takua wasn't necessarily meant to end up on Matanui. If things had gone the way they were meant to, Takua would have been a Borak somewhere. That's fucking scary. Like, to think about. Anyone could have put on the Mask of Light and become the Toho of Light, I think. Or, at the very least, any of the Matoran of Light could have ended up on Matanui. The fact that at the time they specifically differentiated the quote-unquote like genders of the characters based on like their parts list, and the fact that the Toa that Takanuva looked the most like at the time was Gali, I don't think was an accident. Or if it was, Bionicle is full of accidents culminating in something more. If everything in Bionicle is an accident given more meaning than it was supposed to, then you can give more meaning to the accidental use of the Nuva legs as arms for Takanuva. It's entirely possible that someone just thought that that would look better. But it still made Takanuva look like the only other female Toa on the Nuva team. If anyone wants to complain about that, it's so easy to make any of the original like Toa Mata and Toa Nuva just swap genders. All you gotta do is swap out the arm pieces, or for the Toa Mata, just swap out the chest piece. Except Pohatu. Pohatu is a secret third thing. Pohatu has an upside down torso and 2 ball sockets on the shoulders and nothing on the chest. So, checkmate liberals. But yes, you can very easily make Gali a quote-unquote boy, or make Tahu a quote-unquote girl. And it's subtle, like, unless you know, you wouldn't notice. You could take it a step further and point out that on the original Toamata team, the two characters who share the most parts in common are Onua and Gali. Literally, the only thing that differentiates them is their chess pieces and the way that Onua's head sits on his neck. But that's more of a posture thing. Unless the Lego company was implying that only boys can have bad posture. I hear you say because you're stupid. It's also very interesting that there are multiple characters with a blue color scheme, the color blue for the girls, who have male voices or use he him pronouns, and it's never addressed and it's never weird for them. And if you want to say that's an accident, we're running into a lot of weird accidents and coincidences. At some point, they can't all be accidents. At some point, these accidents paint a very different picture. That being, not all these characters are what they appear to be. A very common concept in Bionicle. And again, if someone wants to complain about, oh, you're making Bionicle woke, you're giving them genders and stuff, they're robots. They're a bunch of robotic blood cells inside of a giant sleeping robot. Grow up. And I mean that in a very literal sense of you might consider Bionicle to be a children's thing, but much like you have grown up, the concept of Bionicle has grown up. It grows and changes with you. As Bionicle fans grow up, Bionicle grows up with them. You can't change that. These concepts change and gain nuance with time. I don't hear anyone complaining about Mewtwo's speech at the end of the first Pokemon movie being just for kids, because that would be dumb. And it's very much not just for kids. Or at the very least, if it is just meant for kids, it's meant to make kids think. Children are just tiny humans with developing brains. They can learn new concepts, and introducing those concepts through things that they already enjoy is an easy way to help them understand them easier. It's not that hard. If you made it to the end, I just wanted to say thank you. This is the first video of this type that I've ever made and posted. Like I said earlier, it went through a lot of issues. I lost my work a couple of times. I've had to restart this a couple of times. But I wanted to get this out before the end of Pride Month. I had to cut a couple of things, and I'm just under the wire there, but basically what I wanted to say with this video was, I think creative outlets inherently make us self-reflect as people, and Bionicle has been that for me and for a lot of people. I also wanted to really quick address the joke at the beginning of this video. If anyone has an issue with it, the joke is Bionicle started in 2001. That also happened in 2001. And if you have an issue with it, then take it up with 4-year-old me back in 2003 that also recreated that using Legos. So I've kind of been doing this for a while. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, even though Bionicle has been this outlet for my own identity, it doesn't have to be Bionicle. It could be any Lego theme. It could be any creative endeavor. what Bionicle means to me, something else could mean the same thing to anyone else. Everyone has a theme like Bionicle. Everyone has an outlet like Bionicle. Thanks for watching.